Yeah. I'm back. This is another episode of Random Wisdom. I am your host, the most random, the most wisdom, Ashton. I'm back to give y'all an amazing show today. I'm feeling peaceful. This is my first time actually recording in the morning time, so I got some cranberry juice in a joint. Had to wake and bake, clean my system, the cranberry juice. But I'm feeling good, man. Operating on a positive high, operating on a good frequency this morning. I'm feeling good. It feels good to record in the morning, though. It's like your thoughts get open, your spirit be in tune. Right after you brush your teeth, so your breath smelling good and shit. You know, it feel good. Man, I just been enjoying the experience of doing this podcast and shit. I kind of say it every episode, but the fact that people tuning in and listening and giving me feedback, reposting, posting them, listening to it, that shit crazy, man. I ain't know people won't hear me talk like that. But I think, just in person, people enjoy talking to me. I'm this guy in person as well. I'm very personable. I don't mind sharing myself. Shit, we all here to make an impact on each other. So why not share yourself and, you know what I'm saying, in the most positive way possible. So that's what I get on here and do. That's what I do in person. And I think that's why people enjoy the show. So I'm super grateful. I'm blessed. I couldn't ask for a better group of wisdom seekers. You know, I gotta give my supporter base a name. So I want y'all to kind of help me out with that. I just said wisdom seekers, but I don't know. You know what I'm saying? That might sound a little corny, but I might figure something out. You know what I'm saying? I won't give my supporters a name. I want them to know that I appreciate them and they my tribe. You know what I'm saying? That's who I rock with. So eventually I'm gonna give y'all a name soon. Or y'all could give me a name that y'all would want to have for yourselves rather. So yeah, man. But today we gonna have a good show, man. This show gonna be quite interesting. This is gonna be a little different. And I told y'all this is random wisdom. So it won't be exactly the same every week. We might follow the same basis, but far as what I talk about, what you hear from my voice, it probably won't be the same every time you hear the show. So I want you to prepare yourself and go along this journey of random wisdom because today I'm definitely going to give you some random wisdom. And we could dive straight into it. So over this weekend, me and my fiance we had some off time, so we decided to catch up on a few movies, watch a few documentaries and shit. And one we had on our bucket list was one that's super important to music culture, but also just super important to just life and learning about how this shit work. Um, so we had the pleasure, and I say the pleasure, because I never knew this lady's story. I only knew the song, not even songs, but I would say songs. Yeah, I got a couple songs for sure that I know, but now I'm diving deep into the catalog. But they had a song, that this lady was popular for, and I just wanted to know her story because everybody always said how interesting she was, and I heard her music, and I'm like, man, this lady has a beautiful voice. And that person who I'm talking about is Amy Winehouse. So we dived into the Amy Winehouse documentary, man. I have seen people online talk about it. I just recently seen that they had a movie that came out as well. I didn't check the movie out. I'm not too fond on how the person looks who they casted. So that's always a big deal for me. But we checked the documentary out, man. And when I tell you I was thoroughly impressed, but I was also sad about it. But I was also happy about it. I was also intrigued about it. It was one of the most interesting stories I had heard. And such a long time. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all. This is a transparent moment. I am not the guy who dives into white people's story. That's just kind of not my thing. I hear enough of white people's stories on TV, and I just don't kind of dive in them. But I loved Amy Winehouse's documentary. And it's no for no particular reason. I just see a lot of white people shit on TV. I just got, I just see a lot of white people shit on TV. So that's kind of why I don't watch it, because it's like every story the same. Some privilege came with this shit, right? But no privilege came with Amy Winehouse, man. She had to get it out the motherfucking mud. She really kind of grew up like a black person, if you ask me. And what was intriguing that racism never even came about in this documentary. Nothing was ever said about race. That was a great thing as well. Like nothing was ever said about race. Like race didn't even come up in the documentary. And she didn't grow up around a ton of black people. But it seems that when she encountered them, it was in being intrigued, you know. She grew up in the UK. Um, she had a family that was, basically split. A father that was pretty much absent. She was pretty much scared of her mother growing up. Yeah, she had a pretty interesting life. She had a super bubbly personality though. She was always the star of the show. She was always the person that kept the party alive. She was a great person uh just to be around as she was growing up, you know. She went to a Jewish school. So she, that was her faith. Um but she was very interesting growing up. She always had the voice. She always had the voice. The voice was always there, and the voice matched the personality. She was always, like I said, in good spirits. You know, early on in her life too. Let's say we could fast forward to about 19, right? She was able to get herself in the National Jazz Youth Orchestra, um, which kind of landed her to get to her success, right? So she signed a deal with EMI, EMI Records. I don't know what EMI stands for, but we'll check it out and go see, because I want to be as uh as informative as possible. It stands for Electronic and Musical Industries, right? So she signed to EMI Records. That was around 2002-ish, maybe somewhere around that range. But yeah, she formed a working relationship with the producer, Salam Remy. If you don't know Salam Remy, you do know Salam Remy. You just don't know you do, right? This is the guy that told the Fugees, basically, your first album was okay, but make the score. So when you think of songs like Fuji La, um, what else? Any song that's on a score. I'm drawing a blank right now, but any song that's on a score. I mean, you'd even go to today, Doja Cat. Salam Remy works with Doja Cat, right? So he's such an incredible producer and composer, you know. But yeah, so Amy Winehouse linked up with him, and I think they actually made the album Frank together. This was Amy Winehouse's first project on a major recording. Um, the album did pretty decent, but it was her voice that just intrigued everyone. And one thing about Amy, what I noticed, her lyrics. Um, these lyrics were deep. Like no word was a filler word. No word was taken off. No word was for entertainment purposes. No word was there to just take a place and just rhyme. Everything this lady said, uh, she meant it. It came from somewhere, right? She was influenced by early jazz singers, Ella Fitzgerald, Nina Simone, um, like Sammy Davis Jr., even like Frank Sinatra. A lot of that old, jazz, Billie Holiday. Um, she was greatly influenced by that, and it makes sense because back in London and um France and stuff like that around that time, um, you would get a lot of artists, especially black artists, who would tour that area because they had a huge jazz scene, right? Huge jazz scene back then. So it would make sense why those records would be records that influenced Amy Winehouse. But she went on to make her album Frank, which was heavily influenced by um, that type of music, right? So at that time she gains fame. She gains fame. And I remember there was a part in the documentary, and if I'm spoiling it for you, I'm sorry. Um, but I'm not sorry. You should go watch it still because it's still interesting. But at a point in the documentary, this is when she's a young child. She says something around the ranges of, and I don't know verbatim, but she says something around the ranges of, like, if I was famous, I would just hate myself. I wouldn't know what to do with myself. I don't want to be famous. She had the personality, the wittiness, the confidence, the skill, the talent to be a famous person. But early on, she expressed that she didn't want to be famous. Now, to see something like that is kind of puzzling, right? Because you look at it like, okay, this person has this bubbly personality. They're so charismatic, but they don't desire the fame. Um, and it was something that when she said it, I didn't kind of register it at the moment. And I think that's kind of, there's some people who want to be famous, and then there's some people who just don't desire to be famous. But there's some people that say they don't want to be, and then they later on become to, like, I guess, like the fame, right? But that wasn't the case with Amy. She really didn't like the fame. Like, it was confusing. It was traumatizing. Um, it was something strange to her because she never experienced that level of paparazzi, um, tabloids. And this is all before the second album, which we'll get to soon. Um, but it was so much that went on in that process. She actually started dating a gentleman um, that pretty much kind of shifted her trajectory. Guy named Alex Clare. She started dating him, and things had started to progress for her, right? And as she got into the industry, um, those people that you're around get away from you. Now, one thing about Amy Winehouse too, she liked to get tore up. She liked to get fucked up, you hear me? She loved getting fucked up. She liked to get high. She liked it, the alcohol. She liked to get fucked up. She was a free spirit, fun spirit. So during this time of not liking being famous, she was still having fun and shit. You know what I'm saying? But she just didn't fuck with the dumb shit. You know what I'm saying? That come with fame. She just hated that part of it. Um, but yeah, she was a cool person. Like she was really into uh having fun and shit, right? Like I said, she was the life of the party, so that shit carried on throughout the fame. But um, she later stopped talking to the guy Alex. I forgot for what reason. But she met this gentleman named Blake. And when she met Blake, that was a turning point in her career. Um, that was a super turning point. She's dealing with fame. She's getting, a lot of acclaim. She's blasting off in America at the same time. Or she's getting recognition in America. And then she meets this gentleman, Blake. And from there, that's when things started to get a little shaky. And before we dive into Blake, I want to just add as well, she didn't have the greatest relationship with her parents. Um, Her dad later on came into her life and he fucked everything up, right? So around the time when she met Blake, that's when she started drinking heavy. It didn't just become, or it just wasn't for just life for the party purposes, having fun. She was coping. She hated fame, didn't have the greatest relationship with her parents, but she wanted to surround herself with her parents, right? So in the midst of her dating Blake, uh, if I'm telling this exactly in the timeline that is supposed to be, but in the time of her meeting Blake, her and her father, they basically, I guess rekindle their relationship as daughter and father. Her daughter, say her dad, he was like driving taxis or some shit like that, right? Um, so he looked at this opportunity as an opportunity to get him out of the taxi business and make money, make some real deal money. And ultimately, the brother Blake, I pray he's blessed wherever he is, even though he had a tumultuous time. I don't wish nothing. I think just it was just young people going through uh a tough time. But so I pray he blessed. But in that midst of Blake and the dad, Blake introduces um Amy to heavy drugs, like crack and shit like that, right? Yeah, like she was smoking crack, you know. So this just wasn't like no small drugs, it was crack. And she was drinking heavy. And the dad, he was a enabler. He was like, my daughter's not addicted. She's not addicted to anything. And he knew it. But he didn't want to go back to the taxi business. So he's saying anything and everything that's gonna keep him on Amy's side. And eventually that's what Amy ran into. A lot of people who were just there to get a check. They were a lot of enablers. Um, Salam Remy cared about her. It was a few others that actually cared. She had this good friend. I know her name started with a J. I don't want to fuck up her name, but I think her name was like Juliet or something like that. And she was such a great help to Amy. She was always there for. They grew up together. She was always there for whenever Amy would have problems. That's the person she would call on. And she had some people around her that actually cared, but for the most part, she was sucked away by the people who didn't and just viewed her as a cash cow. So she's going through tumultuous time from the album Frank to the second album, Back to Black. It was a 3-year period. And during that 3-year period, that's when things kind of shifted and transpired. And there's one part up in there where they set up basically like an intervention for Amy, and they want to take her to rehab. And the dad is in denial. He's like, my daughter doesn't need rehab, but she's making money, right? So that's why he doesn't. That's his cash cow. She's on doing tours, and that's his cash cow. That's how he makes his money. He's in position. He's making money, so he don't want to say my daughter should go to rehab because however long that is, it'll fuck up his paper. This how the nigga was thinking. You feel me? So he like, nah, my daughter doesn't need rehab, and everybody knows that Amy was fucked up and she needed rehab. Like everybody knew. Like it wasn't a soul around. Like she looked different. Like you can tell from her look that she was doing drugs, right? But in extreme alcohol. But no, and also she had an issue. She was dealing with mental health issues, but she also had an issue where she would eat her food and throw up the food, which was so many young girls were going through around that time, like the early 2000s, between 2000 and 2000 and 2007, before like I guess thick women, came, started to make a presence in media. But yeah, so many young girls were going through that, all different nationalities too. But she was dealing with that issue as well. So she had a lot she was battling, but it was people around her that wanted to keep her uh, on that stage, um, making music, so she can be their cash cow. So fast forward, like I said, Amy didn't want to go to rehab, right? She said, I am not going to rehab. I don't want to go. I refuse to go. It's not happening. You can forget it. Um, I'm not going. Um, and the dad is like, you know what? She doesn't need rehab. Whatever. But that that particular scene of them trying to bring Amy to rehab and she saying no gave her the biggest hit of her life. Gave her the biggest hit of her life. Rehab. Um Man, they gave her the biggest hit of her life. Just off of making a song about her not wanting to go to rehab. And she turned that into the hit. And I mean a massive hit. Imagine a traumatic situation in your life becoming a hit. A traumatic situation. Imagine dying, but being famous, dying, and then being able to experience what it's like when you die. It's damn near on that level of having a traumatic event, but being able to experience it and having to keep experiencing it over and over as an artist, because now you got to go out and perform this, right? So in the midst of you getting sober or trying to go on a journey of getting sober, you still have to sing, they try to make me go to rehab. And I said, no, no, no. Right? And then she has a line in there. She said, and if my daddy thinks I'm fine, and my daddy thinks I'm fine, my daddy thinks I'm fine. That's crazy. He and I think she did think she was fine, but he didn't think she was fine. He just wanted to carry on with the money, right? Then she says, I ain't got 27 days because there's nothing you can teach me that I can't learn from Mr. Hathaway. I didn't get a lot in class, but I know it don't come in a shot glass. They tried to make me go to rehab, and I said, no, no, no. Man, she said there's nothing that she can't learn from Mr. Hathaway. There's nothing that she learned in class, but she know it don't come in the shot class. She was battling addiction. Like she was literally battling because she saw the ups and downs of what addiction could do. And like I said, that song became a hit. That song became one of the biggest hits, one of the most notable songs probably in music history. And it's about trauma, real life trauma. This is not lyrics that she made up or a fairy tale. This is her real life that she's having to talk about and sing about it every single day on tour for a few years, right? For a few years. She cracks off in America. Boom. Then she becomes a major star and she's still battling with an addiction. Um, and that's when she got into her look of the Amy Winehouse that we all know today, right? But she was still battling addiction at that time. Maybe I was 16 at the time. So I hear that song and I don't know, man, it give me chills to talk about it because at that time I loved that shit, right? Um, I didn't know that it was real. Like I didn't really listen to UK artists like that. My musical palette hadn't reached this level of interest yet to where I started to listen to that type of music, but I would hear it and I liked it that song, but I didn't know it was real lyrics. It was real music that was happening and it was in real time. I had no clue. But she went to the Grammys. She wound up winning a award for Rehab. And that pretty much you mean you know what a Grammy does in America, like that pretty much catapulted her in a different level. And yeah, it was crazy. It was it was nuts. It was nuts. I think she actually wound up winning 5 awards at the Grammys, if I'm not mistaken. That was the 50th Grammys. Um, yeah, and she took home a lot of gold, man, and it just it was too much. Again, remember I told you at the beginning she didn't want to be famous. She hated the idea of fame. Fame bothered her. She didn't like it. The paparazzi just used to swarm her, man. They were so disrespectful. I mean, she actually got into a few altercations with paparazzi in London. Because the limitations that they didn't have was so disrespectful. Like it was just a madhouse, man. And you know, especially the fame part and the paparazzi part of celebrityism. I feel for celebrities because it's like, man, you don't have a level of privacy. They want to just get a new story that they can put out into the tabloids or put out into the world that can just really, I mean, eventually damage you, right? Because eventually that's what it'll do. If you're a person that if you're a person that enjoys serenity, peace, a long time, fame will really fuck you up and have you tripping. Like you don't. It's to me, I almost look at being famous is like being on shrooms, uh, infinity, because it's like continuous, um, just shit happening. Uh, and when you're on shrooms, it's an outer body experience, damn near. When you do any psychedelics, it's damn like an outer body experience. You see how people see you, and I think I don't know, being famous, you kind of see how people see you, right? But man, yeah, she battled addiction, man, and it was ultimately how um she met her demise. She started dating a guy named Reggie, and after the fame and shit had then took over the other relationship, because if you're in a relationship with a person who's not famous as you, they don't quite understand the dynamic, and that sometimes that could kind of throw off the relationship as well. But yeah, so she left the other gentleman and she began talking to this guy, Reggie, and he didn't mind doing drugs. He was a wild boy. He was yeah, he was pretty much using Amy. He didn't have her best interest at all. He didn't even want her to get off crack. It was at a point when they went to they were trying to bring her to rehab. He was like, "Nah, fuck that. She don't want to go." And they wanted to do crack together. So he was like her crack buddy. Like he and you get and then he on crack, but like you get the other perks. You know what I'm saying? You get to eat good 5-star dinners and, do photo shoots and shit. Like they had a instance in there where they was at a photo shoot and he just fucking horse playing with Amy on some shit, on some weird shit, like fucking weirdo type nigga. But yeah, so he was having crack parties and shit. Like that's what he was on. He was a fucking stupid ass. Like he was the reason that Amy Winehouse pretty much met her demise. Him and the father, if you ask me. Yeah, Salam Remy. They talked about Salam, but they didn't go into his concerns or like did he try to reach out and help. They showed him a few times. They showed him when they met. They showed him when they made music, and I believe they showed him again at the funeral. But I know Salam had to be a great person to her because Amy just raved about Salam every time his name would come up. Another person who she raved about is Nas. She has a song on her album dedicated to Nas, Me and Mr. Jones. They were actually born on the same day. So she references Nas's birthday. And what's crazy is how women nowadays say, "That's my man, that's my man." She really made a song about the man who she thought was her man. You feel me? They didn't dive too deep into like, did she ever like Nas's music? Was she a Illmatic fan or anything like that? I just think she thought Nas was attractive, you know what I'm saying? And she adored the music that he make in his mindset. Because just off of not upbringing, but the things they were interested in, they had a lot of similarities. They had a lot of similarities with each other. And they're both born on the same day. I don't know what sign that is, September 14th. I know y'all be knowing the signs and shit. I just know mine and a couple others. But I'm guessing that's Libra, I think. I don't know. I know Ludacris got the same birthday somewhere with Nas. They got a song together. I probably should look that shit up because it tell you I know what they sign is. But anyway, she adored Nas, man, and she made the song Me and Mr. Jones on Back to Black. And then later on they wind up having a song together called Cherry Wine when Nas actually got knowledge that she admired him like that. But yeah, man, it's a great documentary to watch. It's very eye opening of the world of fame and the things that go on and the things you experience when you're famous. A lot of people want to be famous, but they don't know what it entails. They look at fame as if it's this thing that it's like freedom. It's like escaping a 9 to 5 and just being free. But you could save up your paper and get you a few real estate investments, and you'll be free as fuck. Honestly, you don't even have to be famous and deal with paparazzi. Because your favorite artist or favorite entertainer, if you get a few pieces of property, you're probably making more than your favorite entertainer, period. Honestly, because entertainers don't make as much money, but a lot of people think they do, and they think that's the way that you have to get to a place of wealth by becoming famous. If you could avoid fame by all means, try to, for sure. Definitely try to. Because fame is a different monster. It's a price to fame. There's a lot of different things that people do to become famous. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen people um do some strange things for a piece of change. God bless them. That's their path, That's not my path. I won't judge them. But I tell you this, I ain't gonna be around them. You feel me? But yeah, man, if y'all had a chance, please go check out the Amy Winehouse documentary. Um, it's a real eye-opening documentary that tells you about the triumphs and the pitfalls of becoming a musician, but also being famous and dealing with all the aspects of fame. So y'all have a chance, go check that out. Today's moral of the story is simple. If you won't be famous, go ahead and be famous. Just know what it come with. Just know what it come with. You gotta know what fame come with. That's today's moral of the story. It's real simple. Know what fame comes with. If you want to be famous, just know what it comes with. Don't be blinded by what you see on TV, social media. Don't be blinded by that. That's not fame. That is not fame. Fame is totally different when you can't walk up the street no more, or go to Target, or go to Walmart, or go to the park with your kid. When you got to be out of your kid life for most of their life because you decided to be famous. Fame is a lot different when you actually experience it. And that's today's moral of the story. Now, today's random wisdom is something I've been wanting to talk about, at least when I had a platform. There's a series on YouTube called Tiny Desk. And there's a series started talking this shit. What the fuck? But there's a series on YouTube called Tiny Desk. Sorry, I'm all fucked up. My series started talking. I think the government be listening to me because I be kicking that shit sometime. But I be kicking that shit all the time. It's all type of shit that be going on, man, in my career. But fuck it, I don't care. I'm gonna talk my shit regardless. They gotta come see me face to face. But yeah. So there's a series on YouTube called Tiny Desk, right? Tiny Desk been around for a while, but it's really started to gain super steam over the last year, especially when Juvenile made his appearance on there. I think that brought it to a new level. Usher, it's a ton of people who actually been on there and they took that shit up to a whole nother level. Tyler the Creator. But it's this one in particular, Tiny Desk, that made my day. It's this one in particular, Tiny Desk, that set it off for me. I love Juvenile. I'm from New Orleans, you hear me? I'm from, you know what I'm saying? I'm from the trenches, Chopper City, Vulture Island, the Big Easy, whatever the fuck you want to call it, you hear me? That's where I'm from. And Juvenile shit did a lot for me. You feel me? But Scarface, man, Brad Johnson, that shit moved me to tears when I watched it. And I was able to catch it when it first dropped, like 8 minutes. So I didn't get no commercials, right? I saw the shit straight through. I saw it straight through. No commercials, no fillers. So I watched it straight through like a fucking live performance. And man, I was thoroughly impressed, man. The conviction, the vigor, the passion, the width, the depth I mean, there's so many adjectives I could throw out right now to describe what I seen on this tiny desk. And as I speak, I actually have it on my projector, so I'm watching it now. And shout out Mike Dean, shout out the band. I think they call the Backyard Band. I think they from DC or some shit like that. And man, this was a beautiful tiny desk. This shit has so much passion, and you can tell that Scarface is a guy that's tremendously passionate about the music, and not just the words but the music behind it. There's even certain parts up in here where he direct people in the band to do certain shit, and he actually plays guitar as well. He actually picked up the guitar in here at certain points as well, and Mike Dean on the synthesizer. Man, it was a beautiful experience watching this. Um, and to add into Scarface is my birthday brother. He's a Scorpio as well. We actually have the same exact birthday. Um, November 9th. You know what I'm saying? So he my brother. I got to meet him. I got a chance to see him in concert for the first time with my father-in-law. And I think it was his first time as well going to a concert. So that was his first time seeing Scarface and my first time seeing Scarface too. He came down a couple years ago for a farewell tour, and my father-in-law had tickets, but he didn't know I liked Scarface at the time. So I made him a promise. I said, next time Scarface come down here, we going. And we went, man, and we had a good time. And he knew all the fucking lyrics. He older than me and shit. So he grew up on Scarface. He was a youth when Scarface was coming up and doing this thing with Ghetto Boys and releasing some of solo albums like Mr. Scarface, Last of a Dying Breed, Mr. Untouchable, shit like that. So he a young man, and he knew all the lyrics. I know, different songs, and I don't know all the songs, but I know quite a few. Like if he did a verse and said he did all his best songs, I would probably know all of them, right? But he knew every song, man. He knew even the deep cuts and everything. So, man, we had a great experience. But that tiny desk inspired a whole tour for Scarface, and it was a beautiful tour, man. It was great to see hip hop aging, but it aging in a way of it's fun. It's super fun. I had a great experience. The tiny desk was a great experience, and I just enjoyed everything I witnessed with the tiny desk as well as the concert. Um, I hope Brad get an album out there soon. I got a few people I want Face to work with, and I'm gonna take this time to name them. I want to see Face work with Alchemist, the producer. I want to see him get in there with Hit Boy. I want to see Face work with AZ. I want to see Face and Rick Ross get some music out. Who else? I'll take some Face and Kendrick. Who else? It's a ton of people who I want to see Face work with. I still think Scarface has that that cachet to be with the newer generation of rappers. And I think it feels like, at least right now, that the bridge is no longer gapped. We're bridging the gap now. Like, I don't think we're starting to slowly, the old heads are starting to slowly come along and be with the youth, or at least talk to them. Even if they argue with each other, for me, at least they're talking. Because I think eventually that'll lead to music and conversations together. You know what I'm saying? So I think Scarface should get back out here for my selfish reasons and come bust some of these raps. He ain't got to go on tour. I know, you know what I'm saying? I know he's like a grandfather and shit now. But I just want him to bust some of these raps because he could compete with the young boys. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, that's today's random wisdom, man. Scarface, Tiny Desk. If you haven't had a chance, you must have been under a rock. And I understand that sometimes you gotta go under the rock. But if you have a chance, check out Scarface, Tiny Desk. And be thoroughly impressed by a display of musicianship, but as well as one of hip hop's illest wordsmiths. So, you know, it seems like that's been today's random wisdom, man. Um, I am your host, Ashton. I am grateful that you showed up again. That means a whole bunch to me. If you're a nigga, I'm gonna give you a virtual 5. Fuck with you, appreciate you. If you're a lady, I give you a virtual hug. Thank you. I appreciate it. Like I say every time, man, if you just waking up, I hope you having a great day. I hope you have a great day. If you're just getting in, you're just going to sleep, you're about to lay it down, and you wanted to hear the shit I had to say on Random Wisdom, I hope you had a great day. I hope you get every blessing you pray for. I hope today is the day that whatever you pray for, it comes to you. And I just wish peace and positivity on you. Stay peaceful, keep getting wisdom, keep getting knowledge and understanding. And I'm out. Fuck it.